Hello, my name is Katlyn Dawson, and I'm going to talk to you about the history of special education and some important laws and court cases that helped form our nation's special education programs into what it is today. Before the 1970s, there were very little laws or legislation put in place to ensure that students with disabilities had an opportunity for a good education. Over 4.5 million children were denied adequate schooling before legislation to ensure equal educational opportunities for special education students began in the early 1970s. In 1933, there were advocacy groups formed by parents of disabled children. In the 1950s, laws were passed that provided training for teachers who worked with deaf, hard of hearing, and intellectually disabled students. In 1954, Brown versus Board of Education provided parents of children with disabilities the foundation to press for equal educational opportunities for all children, including those with disabilities. The 1970s introduced landmark court decisions that gave states the responsibility to provide special education schooling and resources to students in need. The Rehabilitation Act of 1973 guaranteed civil rights to all disabled people and required schools to provide accommodations to disabled students. In 1975, the Education of All Handicapped Children Acts enforced and guaranteed the rights of children with disabilities to receive a free and appropriate education. It has helped to provide unique educational opportunities that fit a disabled student's needs, as well as ensuring that it is delivered in the least restrictive environment as possible. The Act was reauthorized in 1997 as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This included the use of individual education plans, or IEPs, for all students in the special education system. In 2001 and 2004, the No Child Left Behind Act was brought along, which provided more accountability to schools and helped by adding technology assistance and loan programs to help schools acquire resources needed for special education. There were a lot of really big landmark cases that also helped when parents needed to understand what rights they or their students had when it came to education. The first court case I'm going to talk about is the Board of Education of Hendrick Hudson Central School District versus Rowley in 1982. It involved a student in the Hendrick Hudson Central School District who had only minimal residual hearing and was provided by school authorities with a hearing aid for the use in classroom and received additional instruction from tutors. The parents of the student in question filed the suit because the school administrators denied the parents' request for a qualified sign language interpreter in all her academic classes. The district court had found that the student in question was performing better than the average child in her class and was easily advancing from grade to grade, but that she was not performing as well as she would have without her disability. The difference between how she was currently performing and the potential performance she could have caused the district court to rule that she was not receiving a free, appropriate public education, and that in order for her to receive this, the state needed to provide personalized instruction with specific and sufficient support service to permit the handicapped child to benefit educationally from instruction. The next case I want to talk about is Burlington School Community versus Massachusetts Department of Education, and this was in 1985. This court case held that the school authorities can be ordered to reimburse parents for their private school special education expenses if it is decided that such placement is more appropriate than the one that is proposed in the IEP. There are many resources for both educators and parents to use to help stay up to date with the current special education laws. The first resource I wanted to recommend is provided by the Michigan Department of Education at michigan.gov/MDE under their Special Education tab. Here you can find updates to the current laws in Michigan and the US about special education and how it will affect your family. And other resources can be found through the US Department of Education through their IDEA website. Here you can receive updates about the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And then the last resource I wanted to recommend to stay up to date about law changes and other special education news is the National PTA. This is a great resource with families with links to different services, organizations, and tools to help families stay in the know for everything special education. I hope that this video helped you learn more about the special education system here in the US, and also helped you find some new resources to keep you updated as the education system begins to grow and change. Thank you and have a great day.